I'm Dave Schoenarts, owner of Future Tire and Automotive in the White Mountains of Arizona.
Dave, what were you using before, or take us through your lifespan of point of sale systems? What have you used since you bought the business?
When I bought it, we had an old system. I think it was DOS based. We just know it as Old Blue because it was a blue screen. Didn't last long. I think we crashed it within our first 6 months and grabbed ShopMonkey off the shelf, and that served us fairly well for a good 6 years. And then just recently signed on with Hoops and Gears and learning that product and seeing how it's going to benefit the company.
What's your core business then? So if you used, you had a system when you bought the business in 19, you adapted ShopMonkey to it. What's your core business that you do? Some commercial, some retail, break that down for me.
Yeah, because we're in the remote areas. We end up servicing everybody and everything. So we've got fair share of commercial up here, a lot of the government, because of the relationships we have with both Goodyear and Bridgestone, and then a ton of retail. So got to be able to manage every type of customer when you're in a small community.
So you're tires first, for sure.
We are, yeah, we're definitely doing what we can to change that perception, just see that the margins are there with service. So I've been pushing that quite a bit since we paid attention to the difference in margins.
Have you noticed the difference between, so ShopMonkey's built for mechanic first, so like maybe the Napa Auto Care Center doesn't do any tires, just trying to bring stuff in. Actually built pretty well for that. Have you noticed the difference between having something that's built for tires first? Was there some problems that created and that has been solved now?
Yeah, I think when you're working with someone that understands tires to the point that they've built it into their product and that you're starting at the right point. There's no round peg and square hole and trying to make it work. It's ready from the get-go.
Yeah. There's a few mechanic first shop softwares out there. You got like ShopMonkey, Techmetric. There's another one. They really good web-based softwares. They're on the right track there. What were some of the pain points you had inside trying to sell tires inside the mechanic first software?
It just didn't have the search capability. It didn't have the ability to wrap its head around inventory. When a shop is set up for wrenching, they're not going to sit on a ton of parts. They're going to be reliant on local parts houses. So inventory isn't as big a factor as it is with tires. You tend to sit on it just a little bit more. We have to because we're in a remote area. We don't have just-in-time delivery. We order something today, at any point in today's shift, we won't see it until on average 10 a.m. the next day. So we've had to have our own network that supplies the 4 stores in our commercial division, all from our own in-house warehouse.
Has you told me a little bit about the difficulty in multi-store, ShopMonkey multi-store, and I think mechanic first is not. The tire world has a lot of MSOs in it, multi-shop owners, and so where you've got these 4 locations, retail and kind of a commercial division, is seeing the tires between the different stores and locations, has that been a ton easier? Is that better? How has that changed?
I think the biggest difference it would be the visibility. We didn't have the capability to see where everything was at with ShopMonkey, but now transferring between the entities, significantly easier process. It was tedious. It was cumbersome. There was a lot of room for error, and this has the systems in place where it's just a handful of keystrokes and product shows up where it's supposed to be.
Yep.
It's pretty smart. ShopMonkey worked out great on a lot of aspects for us, but when it was trying to manage multi-store location, it really struggled. They have addressed it and they're working on an enterprise that's been launched, but it's starting from that point and will continue to get better. It wasn't serving us as well as Hoops does, that's made for multi-store.
Yeah, and this takes a little bit through your locations. You have you're in Arizona here, you've got Holbrook, Lakeside, Pine Top, Show Low,
Correct.
and then commercials that sell in that whole area.
Yeah. Commercial kind of posts up at our warehouse more or less. Doesn't require the same brick and mortar that the rest of the stores. We do a lot of either just delivery or mobile service. So don't really need a showroom for it. Our sales staff is made to be out in the field and seeing customers at their place of business.
And now that we have it on camera, he's going to teach me how to do more commercial and wholesale work. So you have a wholesale division as well, where you're able to just potentially, you do a little bit of wholesale, but move units out to your locations. You kind of have a centralized way of accounting for a larger quantity of inventory to feed your stores. How's that working for you?
It's working great. That was a big struggle before on how to place re-up orders for your stores, how to get the hot shots in system, and then how is it accounted for within the system. It's seamless right now with Hoops. It's pretty smart. It's one of its better features.
Built-in accounting. So a lot of systems are doing exports to QuickBooks and different things. There's a big pain point in the industry. There's a lot of data lost in between because you don't have control over the actual operations. All you're seeing is financial dollars. Tell me about embedded accounting and both the struggle on how to get using it and getting new systems in place, but how it's helped.
In the past, everything was reliant on our CFO to just sort through it all and do the best he can. But doing that remotely, that's a challenge. He's going to do the best that he can with the information that he has. Now, the responsibility falls on the managers. So they're
There's a little pushback there.
a little bit, when you're asking old dogs to learn new tricks.
You have visibility as an owner into where the parts are and what each store is doing from one screen. You like that enterprise piece though, where you can follow the parts from purchase to statement.
The way the system's built, there's no way anything can just be lost.
Thrown behind the shelf, so I speak.
Yeah, lost in the mix. It doesn't exist with this. If you've bought it, there's an accountability.
It's got to go somewhere, yeah.
So as an owner, I love that.
Yeah, I previously used a Wild West system where you could sell whatever you could type in, and it doesn't give you any traceability to what might be sitting behind the shelf or what guys might have lost, or nobody wants to speak of it, but what might be stolen or anything inside the stores. So we'll come back to more accounting. How have you liked dashboarding across multiple locations in one screen? How have you guys been able to see what each store is doing? Do you like that visibility?
I do. Yeah, it's regardless of what store I'm in, it shows me the same analytics that I'm looking at for all the locations. In the past, I'd have to log out of where I was and look in it. That required either a good memory or a lot of notes to keep track, or start taking the extra steps to put things into Excel. That's great and all if I'm trying to do a deep dive and really analyze numbers. But if I just want to poke in and see what kind of day is my Pine Top store having today, then I can see that at the same time I see all the other stores. It's very efficient.
Hoops and Gears, as you're getting it down, you're 6 weeks in now. Do you see that it'll help you grow if you wanted to add locations or expand some of your second warehouse, more locations? How do you see it in terms of scalability?
One of the main reasons I went with Hoops is because it offers the scalability that we just didn't have as an option with our past point of sale. It would have always been, a pinch point, and that it's hard enough to expand. You want your point of sale.
You don't want to fight it.
No, it should be encouraging and be able to take on more and more and just be seamless, and that's what Hoops represents.
What, from a process perspective, what, in terms of standardizing some things across your stores, there have been some wins there?
Absolutely. Very flexible system that we came from. Now it's on the scope of being very rigid. So that now gives us the same way of building the same jobs. We were finding numbers different between stores just because using like an oil change, as an example, you can put so much into labor or so much into the profit into the oil. So some guys had it at 100% just labor, and that, you know, kept the sales tax down. That was great, but they weren't making any money on oil. In fact, losing money on oil. So this said, this is how we're going to do it as a company. Now numbers are make more sense between the stores, and then you can identify where things are actually off. If they're off in how you're entering them, then you're never going to find what you're looking for.
It can be a little bit painful to standardize because it's like a process of pain. It's kind of like exercise. If you get obese and you got to get back in shape, it can be a painful process, but there's rewards. So stiffening up the system can be like painful at first, but then once everybody's hitting the same button for an oil change, everybody's hitting the same button for a flat repair, you start to see some commonalities. That's why I think it feels really enterprise, the system does, because you could call the team and flick on a store tomorrow and it would have all the same settings. Surely that has to feel like you could grow.
I feel like you can do anything then, yeah. One big thing out of the way with having that already under belt.
Yeah. Anything else you'd say about Hoops and Gears?
No, I feel like there's some of the smarter guys I've had a chance to work with. The staff has been good. We're not super tech savvy. And they've guided us along all the way through. Been just feeling supported when, you know, it's a good feeling to have when otherwise you're feeling lost, you know, with so much to learn and so much transition. But yeah, I mean, there's, you know, 3-4 guys on there that I can call at any time on their cell. I can text them, send them an email. There's so many ways to get a hold of somebody. They drop what they're doing and they help you sort it out. Appreciate that.
It's awesome. I don't have anything else. Great. Thank you.